The tragic life of Vincent van Gogh. Genius lost too soon. How does a man create over 2,000 works of art, including some of the world's most celebrated paintings, yet only sell one during his lifetime? How does a mind so brilliant burn so brightly only to be extinguished far too soon? This is the tragic and haunting story of Vincent van Gogh, the tortured genius whose life was marked by beauty, madness, and heartbreaking solitude. Vincent van Gogh was born on March 30th, 1853, in the Netherlands. He was the oldest surviving son of a Protestant pastor, and from the beginning, his life was shadowed by loss. A year before his birth, his parents had another son, also named Vincent, who died at birth. Growing up, Van Gogh would regularly visit the grave of his dead namesake, a constant reminder of a life replaced. Though deeply sensitive and intelligent, Vincent struggled with school, often withdrawing into solitude. He tried several careers as a teacher, bookseller, and even a preacher, before turning to art at age 27. Without formal training, Van Gogh taught himself to draw and paint. He was heavily influenced by the poor and working class, painting miners, peasants, and rural landscapes. His early work was dark and somber, reflecting both the subjects and his inner turmoil. In 1885, he painted The Potato Eaters, a haunting depiction of a peasant family sharing a modest meal. It was raw, emotional, and real, a glimpse into the soul of a man seeking meaning through human suffering. In 1886, Vincent moved to Paris to live with his younger brother, Theo, an art dealer and his closest friend. There, he encountered Impressionism and Japanese prints, which dramatically transformed his style. His palette exploded with color. He began painting flowers, cafes, and self-portraits in swirling strokes and vibrant tones. It was in Paris that he met other artists like Paul Gauguin, Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, and Camille Pissarro, though he remained an outsider in many ways. In 1888, Vincent left Paris and moved to Arles in the south of France, dreaming of starting a community of artists. Theo supported him financially, allowing him to focus on his work. He invited Paul Gauguin to join him, but the two artists clashed bitterly. Their arguments escalated, and one night, in a fit of desperation and mental collapse, Van Gogh famously cut off part of his own ear. He wrapped it in cloth and delivered it to a woman at a nearby brothel. After the incident, Van Gogh voluntarily admitted himself into a mental asylum in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence. It was here, in isolation and inner torment, that he painted some of his most iconic works. Among them, Starry Night, a swirling, dreamlike vision of the night sky as seen from his room's window. Painted from memory, it captured his longing, imagination, and mental state in a way words never could. During his year in the asylum, he painted over 150 works. Beauty was pouring out of him, even as he unraveled inside. In 1890, Van Gogh left the asylum and moved to the quiet village of Auvers-sur-Oise to be closer to his doctor and Theo. He was prolific, painting a new canvas nearly every day. But inside, he was losing hope. Despite his immense output, his work remained largely unrecognized. He constantly feared being a burden to Theo, whose own health and finances were faltering. On July 27, 1890, Vincent walked into a field and shot himself in the chest with a revolver. He died 2 days later in his brother's arms. His last words were reportedly, "The sadness will last forever." Theo died just 6 months later. The two brothers are now buried side by side in a quiet cemetery in Auvers. In the years following his death, Vincent van Gogh's work gained recognition, then admiration, then reverence. Paintings that once couldn't be sold now sell for tens of millions. Today, Starry Night, Sunflowers, and The Bedroom are considered some of the greatest masterpieces ever created. Vincent van Gogh lived a life of suffering, solitude, and genius, unseen in his time, but immortal through his art. He once said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" And though he lived in darkness, he gave the world so much light. If you were moved by this story, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more untold lives and lost legends from history.